So, Strong Opinion Sports has a store, shirts, hoodies, everything. It's all on sale until the end of November. Go buy stuff. On Saturday, Ohio State beat Indiana 42-35. And it was a really fun game, actually. It's kind of the first time all year I've seen a team truly challenge Ohio State. Now, at one point, I want to be clear. Ohio State was up 35-7, and you go, well, how can you talk about Ohio State being challenged when they were up by 28 points at one point? But I got to be clear. I mean, Indiana came back. They were, with 10 minutes left in the game, this was a one-score game. Indiana made it 42-35. Indiana actually had the ball down 7 with a chance to tie the game with 4 minutes and 39 seconds left. I mean, to me, the fact that Indiana was able to put pressure on Ohio State at all, that left me walking away with respect for Indiana. Walking away with respect for Tom Allen, their head coach. Shout out to their defense. Shout out to Michael Penix, their quarterback. In fact, I think Michael Penix even might have played a better game than Justin Fields, who's likely going to be a top 2 pick in the NFL draft. So I walked away very, very impressed with Indiana. I think kind of the reason why they lost is because Indiana's defense was unable to capitalize on any of their turnovers. I mean, Indiana had 0 points off of turnovers. But to me, Indiana proved their legitimacy in this game. I said that how they did against Ohio State, it didn't matter whether they won. They just needed to be competitive, and they were. Oh, my gosh. They put pressure on Ohio State. I walked away. Indiana, well done. A lot of respect for them. And looking ahead, I mean, Indiana plays Maryland, Wisconsin, then Purdue. So it's possible that Indiana only loses one game all year. I mean, I think Maryland and Wisconsin, they're tougher wins than people realize. But it's possible that Indiana only loses this one game all year against Ohio State. Now, again, Indiana really challenged Ohio State. In particular, Indiana really challenged Ohio State's quarterback, Justin Fields. It was easily, by a lot, the worst game Justin Fields has played all year. It was not pretty. It was not good. And from an NFL perspective, this game gave me pause. I looked at this game and went, oh, what do we do now? Like, what? How do we, what? It was so disappointing and weird. Justin is a junior, and I don't want to watch one game and panic, but I will say that what we saw, I'm going to talk about the mistakes he made later, but I'll just ramble off a couple. I mean, he had multiple plays where he handled blitzes very poorly. He was trying to run away from blitzes rather than beat them throwing. He made bad mistakes where he's getting sacked. He threw interceptions. He didn't make easy reads. He made a lot of mistakes. And so because Justin is a junior, he can either go to the NFL after this year or he can stay in college. And this game, in my opinion, hurt Justin Fields' draft stock. I look at this game and go, yeah, he's not going to overtake Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's just not going to happen now because the habits he showed are going to scare people away. And Justin can go to the NFL after this year, but he'll be the number 2 quarterback in the NFL draft. I mean, that's not bad. It's really good for business. He'll be rich. And I think the best business move he can make is to go to the NFL as soon as possible. Totally 100%. But this game made me wonder if, forget the money, I wonder now, is it not best for Justin Fields' development as a quarterback? Forget the business side. Let's look at the artistic side. Because maybe craft is a better way to put it. To stay another year in college and perfect his craft as a quarterback, I think that would really help Justin Fields. There's business and then there's craft. And most of the time, the business side does not necessarily work alongside with the craft side of things, where craft is constantly improving and seeking perfection, and it's slightly more artistic. You're trying to develop your skills and develop who you are. Whereas the business side says, go get money and as much money as soon as possible. And in the artistic world, I mean, whether you're making movies or a YouTube channel or a podcast or anything where you're developing skills like that, that battle's kind of fought every day between, do you throw down, I guess, like even in my field, here's how I would say, you can either throw out a hot take or you can do a lot of research and go, based on my research, here's what I find. Usually a hot take makes way more money than a more researched opinion because it's more inflammatory, it's more clickbaity, it comes out faster. People don't really kind of appreciate research as much as I wish they did, honestly. And I know that, again, I guess my point here is that Justin Fields can go to the NFL as soon as possible. He probably should, and he probably will, and it'll be fine. But it might be better for his craft long-term if he stayed in college and made sure he doesn't have a game like this where he's really perfected everything. You never can have a perfect game. And I thought Justin Fields did well, kind of, not really, actually. There was never a moment where I'm like, oh, yeah, Justin Fields learned from his mistake and bounced back. It was just it was some good, some bad. And against Indiana, Justin Fields was 18 for 30 for 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. Throughout the entire game, he kept making mistake after mistake, and there was never a turning point where things got better. And so the problems really extended beyond Justin Fields' interceptions. Let's go through his 3 interceptions first. Number 1 was a seam ball down the left side, kind of left middle, where the defense ran cover 3. So there's 2 guys vertical deep on the outside and 1 guy deep in the middle, a deep middle safety. And Justin tried to move that safety to the right and then throw back to the left, but the ball was late. He left it too far inside down the seam, which is like the hash mark basically. And the ball was intercepted. He didn't do the good enough job moving the safety. He was late. The ball was too far inside. Bam, interception. Not a good way to start the game. Now, his other 2 interceptions were both on broken plays where he was getting sacked, pressure was closing in, and he forced the ball into coverage. One literally, as he was literally falling backwards and just kind of threw the ball up in the air in the middle of the field. Not a good decision, a really dangerous throw, and it cost him. I mean, instead of throwing the ball away or just eating it and taking the sack, he forced the throw into coverage, and bam, got 2 interceptions that exact way. Now, he also had a play where he passed up a wide open spot route on the left side. He's looking left. Hey, spot route flash is wide open, and instead, he forced the throw to a corner ball incomplete. It's like, Justin, take the easy throw. And there was no wind or snow. There was no rain. Justin was just not executing at a high level. He was not showing any patience. He wasn't doing what he's done all year. I don't know if it was the moment. I don't know what happened, but Justin was just not his normal self. I also saw another alarming problem where, and we've seen hints of this all year, but it really showed up big against Indiana, where Justin wasn't beating blitzes with his arm. So a blitz, most people know it's when a defense brings extra defenders after the quarterback and says, we're going to bring 6 or 7 people after you to try to take you down and get a sack. And quarterbacks need to anticipate blitzes and throw to soft spots. If they're bringing 6 people after the quarterback, there's fewer people in coverage. There's a soft spot in the defense. Find the weakness, throw the ball there. If it's man coverage, we love that. Beat the blitz with a man beater, make a great throw. Or if it's a zone blitz, find the weakness in the zone coverage. There's someone open, bam. And Justin was not anticipating the blitz. Your job as a quarterback is to always understand when a blitz is coming and where it's coming from. But he wasn't anticipating it. He wasn't predetermining where it's coming from or seeing, hey, it's coming now, I got to get rid of the ball. There was no thought process like that. Justin was just reacting to it after the fact, trying to run away from defenders, really, instead of throwing the ball and beating them. It's very ineffective. In the NFL, you have to beat a blitz throwing the football. You're not going to beat a blitz running away because in the NFL, athletes are even better. You're not going to bounce off of tackles. Justin Fields gets away with a lot of stuff in the Big Ten because he's just a better athlete. He's still going to be a better athlete than a lot of people in the NFL too, but not to the same degree he is in the NFL. And if a guy comes free, you have to beat the blitz with a throw. Don't try to make the guy miss and run around. He had a good touchdown run in the same way. I mean, not saying he doesn't have a great ability to run, but what I'm saying is in the NFL, he's got to figure out how to beat the blitz with a throw. There's a play where Justin had a shallow crosser wide open over the middle. I'm like screaming at my TV, dude, throw the ball. And later watching film, I'm watching it back again going, Justin, throw the ball. I'm screaming at my computer monitor going, Justin, throw the ball. It's wide open over the middle. Instead, he tries to reverse pivot, get away, takes a sack. It's like, man. And from an NFL perspective, seeing a guy who's not comfortable beating a blitz with a throw, it's a very, very alarming thing to see. And so Justin Fields is really bad in this game against Indiana. Ohio State did not win because of him. Ohio State won because they got a good defense. They ran the ball really well. And Indiana, luckily for Ohio State, Indiana did not have any points off of turnovers, which is kind of crazy. That's not what Indiana's done all year. So I also think it's worth noting that Indiana put good stuff on film. Looking ahead at what Ohio State's going to have the rest of this year, it's going to help teams down the road when they play Ohio State, whether it's in the college football playoff or in the Big Ten championship. Indiana put some concerning stuff that Justin Fields struggles with, a delayed blitz, a 6-man blitz, blitzes up the middle, where we're going to see teams try to do the same thing Indiana did to Justin Fields, and it might work. I mean, we saw an alarming weakness with Ohio State. I think other teams are going to see that and do that as much as they possibly can to try to keep putting pressure on the weakness of Ohio State. So I got a lot of respect for Indiana. I walked away going, man, Indiana fought hard. They played well. They made Justin Fields look bad. That's not an easy accomplishment. So shout out to Ohio State, or shout out to Indiana. Ohio State, I'm not trying to, I think I've been too negative on Justin Fields. You guys know, I love Justin Fields. He's phenomenal. But that was not a good performance. I don't know how many people watched the game. If you watch that game, there were play after play after play where I'm like, that's bad. I mean, he made more mistakes in one game than he maybe made all year last year. It's like, well, what caused this kid to fall apart in this game? I don't understand. And again, Justin Fields was not the reason why they won. They got lucky to win. They kind of got away with one. And I don't know. I think Justin Fields, he's still probably a number 2 quarterback taken in the NFL draft. He's not going to challenge Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, because that's just too scary. Like, people are going to go, that's scary. I don't like what I saw. And people think, you can think, well, I can teach him how to do X, Y, Z, but you would think they're having all those conversations at Ohio State too. They're teaching him, hey, beat the blitz with a throw. You got to, throw the ball away. Don't take a sack. Take a sack or throw the ball away. Don't force it into coverage if you're having pressure. They're having these conversations. It's just they're not working for Justin Fields. I don't know. Either this game is going to be really good for Justin Fields, where he's exposed a little bit, he feels a weakness, and he leans into it. He works even harder, and he comes back stronger, because adversity makes you stronger or weaker. I think it's possible this game makes Justin Fields better, but he's got to learn from his mistakes. If he doesn't learn from his mistakes, Justin Fields could be in trouble. And I don't know, just kind of not trying to be all doom and gloom, but by far, that's the worst game I've ever seen Justin Fields play. And I went, ugh, that's really, really bad.